Hello, and welcome to a beginner's guide to Così fan tutte, or So Do All Women. Così fan tutte was written by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and it was one of the operas that he wrote in conjunction with his librettist Da Ponte, the other two being Don Giovanni and The Marriage of Figaro. As you may have guessed from the title, this opera is sung in Italian. In terms of style, Mozart definitely is a style unto himself. It is usually very vocally demanding, very clean lines. It's very symmetrical, very mathematically even in terms of phrasings and timings. And there's usually a fair balance between arias and recitatives, or sung dialogue. This opera takes the form of an opera buffa, or a comic opera that makes fun of one person in particular, buffo being literally a clown or a fool. But the question with this one is, who is the buffo? So what is Così fan tutte about? We open in the middle of a discussion that Guglielmo and Ferrando, two young soldiers, are having with their older, much more cynical bachelor friend, Don Alfonso. The two young men are boasting about their girlfriends and how wonderful they are, not only how beautiful and how talented, but also how faithful they are. They have complete confidence that their girlfriends would never betray them or cheat on them. To which Don Alfonso replies, "Oh yeah? Wanna bet?" Thus, the two young men do enter into a bet with Don Alfonso, and he concocts a plan to test the fidelity of the two young women, Fiordilici and Dorabella. The plan is this, that Guglielmo and Ferrando will pretend to be called away to war. Then they come back in disguise and try to woo each other's girlfriends. Don Alfonso also enlists the help of the girl's maid, Despina, and comedy and also tragedy ensue. In terms of historical background, I don't know that you really need much to enjoy this opera. I have seen this opera set in the 1700s when it was written, and thus how it might have looked when it was first performed. But I have also seen it set in 1950s Coney Island at a fun fair / motel, and it still speaks to the same themes every time. The foolishness of testing your partner and dodgy gender politics. It has to be said in most, if not all, of Mozart's operas that his music is beautiful, but his gender commentary isn't always the best. In terms of musical themes or special moments to look out for, all of the music is utterly beautiful, so it was very hard for me to pick one moment in particular, but I've narrowed it down to three. The first, which occurs fairly early on in Act 1, is Despina's aria, the maid, as she sings in uomini, soldati, or in men, in soldiers. And in this aria, Despina responds to the girls' utter despair at losing their boyfriends, and she rather chides them for their naivete, as the full opening line is, "In men, in soldiers, you expect fidelity?" Think again. I have linked down below one particular performance from my favorite performance of Così fan tutte that I've ever seen, where this aria is sung by Ainhoa Garmendia. And there are three really striking things about this aria to me. The first of which is its theme. In an opera that seems to be focused on women's infidelity, hence the title, Despina seems to be the only one to point out that men can be unfaithful too. In fact, more often than not, they are just as, if not more, unfaithful than women. And I think she means this utterly sincerely, since this aria happens even before Don Alfonso approaches her with his plan. And the other major thing that strikes me about this aria is its simplicity. There are no key changes, there are no wild changes in melody, there are no huge vocal range challenges. That, plus its 6/8 key signature, which makes it have quite a dance feel to it. It feels almost like a fast waltz, or, being an Irish dancer, I always think of 6/8 as a jig time. Those two things combined, to me, signal that Mozart has essentially written a folk song, which fits the character of Despina being a maid of lower class. That is what she would typically sing. But it also means that it is utterly singable, and you might find yourself singing it around the house. Thus, does he want us to take the message home as well? The next major aria moment is towards the end of Act 1, where Fiordiligi takes a stand against these two strangers who have suddenly come into their rooms. And it is called Come scoglio, or Like a Rock. I have inserted a clip down below from that same Glyndebourne performance, featuring an incredible cast, but either Mia or Maya Persson sings the role of Fiordiligi. The aria itself starts at around the 6-minute and 45-second mark, but I would encourage you to watch everything that happens up to that point, because it really gives you a great idea of emotionally where are all of these characters. As the title and that little bit of background would suggest, Fiordiligi and Dorabella are horrified that these men are in their rooms, that Despina and Don Alfonso seem to be encouraging them. What are they going to do? No one seems to be listening to them. So finally, Fiordiligi takes a stand and says, no, enough. Like a rock, our loyalty and our fidelity will not move. No matter what you say to us, we will not be moved by it. And so the aria starts at a very slow and measured pace. Even with lots of decoration and ornamentation, it still takes 2 measures to sing 2 words. And that slowness, that stateliness, is absolutely symbolic of the steadfastness of her love for Guglielmo. Then, after 2 repetitions of that theme and these men still don't seem to get it, that's when a change kicks in. The tempo picks up immediately. And even though she still keeps a steady rhythm, she never completely flies off the handle, well, there could be one instance, which I will talk about in a moment. The orchestra is playing furious 8th notes underneath her, which give you that sense of that boiling rage underneath the surface that she is trying to contain. The one moment where I think she kind of loses her temper is in that faster section when she reaches the word speranza. And may your vile hopes not render you so bold again. When she reaches that word of hopes, the second time through, she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5 measures of triplets, just on that one syllable of on, which when I heard in a podcast about the Queen of the Night aria, which again has those long sustained runs on just one vowel, and depicts another woman in a fury. The singer that they interviewed said that she felt like it was that point when you're angry, when you can't even use words, or the only words when you can come up with are curse words. You're not trying to make sense, you just need to get this out. I feel like that moment for Fiordiligi could be the same thing. The difference is she then manages to pull it back in again. And I think you can kind of see that in Mia Persson's performance as well. Then, and this contains minor spoilers, but it does not spoil the entire ending. The last aria that I wanted to talk about is one of Ferrando's, and it happens towards the end of Act 2, and it is called Tradito, schernito, or Betrayed, Scorned. And this happens after he has been told by Guglielmo that Dorabella has fallen. She has fallen for Guglielmo. And he feels utterly betrayed. He feels betrayed by his friend. He feels betrayed by his girlfriend. And this is him trying to process everything that has happened, as well as what do I do now? And I'm not going to go any further than this, because not only have I linked down below a clip of someone singing it all the way through, but I have linked a clip of a masterclass that happened last year at the Royal Opera House with one of their studying young artists and Lisette Oropesa, who is one of my favorite sopranos. You may know that if you have followed this playlist for a while. And she does such an amazing job of breaking down, both musically and emotionally, what is happening with Ferrando, that honestly you should just go and watch her. I don't feel right only repeating what she said, but definitely give that a watch. Not only is it a fascinating character study for this opera, but it's a fascinating look into the work that has to go into every single role that is sung in the opera world, no matter how big or how small. If you are looking for recommendations of where you can see this production in full, I would highly recommend this production that was done at Glyndebourne in 2005 or 2006, I want to say. The cast is amazing. It features Topi Letipo, Luca Pizzaroni, Nicola Rivenc, Mia Persson, Anke Fondong, Ainhoa Garmendia, and was directed by Nicholas Heitner, who was, I believe, the general director of the National Theatre at one point. It is spot on in terms of 18th century culture. The costumes are beautiful, and the singing and the acting are incredible. This to me is the Così fan tutte to beat. You can purchase it on DVD, as I just showed you, or I believe it might be available online on some sort of teaching resource website, which I will link down below if you are interested. I believe it also used to be available to stream through digital theater. If it is, I will link that below as well. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any further comments or questions about this opera or other operas that you would like to see me break down in the future. Until next time, be safe, be well, and happy listening. Bye everyone.